Hey, welcome. In this video, we're going to learn about Pandas, one of the most powerful and popular libraries for data manipulation in Python. By the end of this video, you will be ready to start using Pandas for your own projects. Before we get started, make sure you have Anaconda or Miniconda installed along with Jupyter Notebook. If you don't have them installed yet, no worries. I'll share the links to install them in the description box. Within just few minutes, you can install them. Now, this video is going to be around 30 to 35 minutes, and I won't cover absolutely everything Pandas has to offer, but I'll walk you through the most important operations and functions you need to know to start working on your projects. So with that said, in this video, let's talk about Pandas. So Pandas is a powerful and widely used open source library for data manipulation and analysis in Python. So the core structure in Pandas are the data frame and the series. Okay, so without wasting a lot of time explaining the theory part of it, let's quickly see Pandas in action. Okay, so first of all, we have to install Pandas. Okay, so what I'll do is I will actually stop this Jupyter Notebook and make sure this stock env is activated, right? So first of all, let's install Pandas. I'll say conda install Pandas. You can put a space and you can also install numpy and matplotlib. Okay, conda install numpy, pandas, numpy and matplotlib. So all of these three packages will be installed. So let's hit enter. Okay, so let's proceed by typing y. All right, so now we have actually installed all of these packages, matplotlib, numpy and pandas. Okay, so at this point I will say Jupyter Notebook. So I will open the Jupyter Notebook again, and you see I have this call underscore activity.csv. So this is the demo dataset I'm going to use for teaching the pandas. So I'm going to attach this call activity.csv in the resource section of this video. So you can just download it and put it inside your resources folder. Okay, so here just beside this test.ipynb. Okay, so I will close this now, and so what I'll do is I'll actually create a new file. Okay, you can also create a new notebook file from here and from here. Okay, so I'm going to name it as learn pandas. Okay, learn pandas.ipynb. So I'm going to actually import pandas. Okay, import pandas as pd. Okay, import pandas as pd. Now if you're new to Jupyter Notebook, I'll tell you how to run this. Okay, so you can also run this from here just by clicking on this play button, or else you can click shift enter. Okay, so if you don't get error, that means your pandas has been installed correctly. Okay, so I'm not going to import any numpy and matplotlib right now. So I'm just going to focus on this pandas only in this video. All right, so we have the file, right? So call activity.csv. We want to read this file. So this is the very important function in pandas. We always want to read the file using pandas. Okay, so how to read it, right? So you can say pd.read csv. Okay, so when you write pd dot and hit tab, then you will see a lot of functions and classes here, right? One of them is read csv. Okay, read underscore csv. So in this read csv function, we pass the file name. Okay, so including the path, but right now this call activity.csv is inside the root, right? So that's why I will just say call activity.csv here. Call, when you write call, and you can always hit tab, right? So it will suggest you the file names. Okay, so this is how you read the CSV, and we will store this inside the df. Okay, df is equal to pd So df is equal to pd.readcsv. So this is actually a data frame. I'll come to the data frame and the series part also. So let's actually hit enter. Okay, when you just hit a simple enter, then you will be inside the same cell. Okay, you can write a df here, which means it will print the data frame. And when you want to execute this cell, you just press shift and enter. Okay, so now you can see the panda is actually reading our CSV file, right? So here in this data set, we have 3,333 records. Okay, so always the index starts from 0. All right, now if you want to see Jupyter Notebook, and Jupyter Notebook by default does not show you all the records at once, because you will usually work on, sometimes millions of records. Okay, it is impossible to load all those records in a single page, right? So that's why it just shows the top 5 records and the bottom 5 records. Okay, so now if you just want to see the top 5 records, you can simply say df.head. Okay, df.head, head is a function, and execute this just by pressing shift and enter. Okay, now you can see we have the top 5 records. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now if you want to see the last, bottom 5 records, you can simply say df.tail, df.tail, execute it, and you see the last 5 records, right? You can also pass 10, any number here, right, inside the head and tail function. So if you, in case if you want to see 10 records, you can put any number here. And if you put 2, you will get 2 records, right? So by default, it is 5 records. All right, this is how you read the data set. So when we read it, you see this data, right? So this is what we call the data frame. Okay, so the data frame is the rectangular representation of your data. You see this is a rectangular representation of your data. Okay, so it has the index for each row and the name or the label for each column. Okay, so this is what we call the data frame. So when I said the rectangular representation, it also means it's a two-dimensional structure of your data. Okay, so it's like a two-dimensional array. So it's basically more readable form of your data, so that you can easily access and manipulate the data here. Okay, so it has the index and it also has the labels for the data. Okay, additionally, each column in a data frame stores the data of the same data type. Okay, for example, one column might store the integer and another might store the string. Okay, so another can also store the true or false boolean values, right? So this is what we call the data frame. Okay, now we have one more thing in pandas, right? So that's series. So what is series? Well, series is just like one dimensional structure of your data. Okay, so this means this state, this column, right? So this column is actually a series. All right, so multiple series becomes one data frame. Okay, so can we check the type of the data frame and series? Yes, we can. So if you want to check that, and you see in Jupyter Notebook we have two modes. One is the command mode and another one is edit mode. Okay, so edit mode means when you type here, you will see the cursor here. Right now you can type like this. Okay, so in the command mode, which means if you want to add a new cell, right? So in command mode, for example, if you want to add a new cell or delete a new cell, right? So in this case, we can go to the command mode, just by pressing this escape button. Okay, just put escape button and now you are inside the command mode. Okay, so when you're in command mode, if you want to add a cell above this current cell, then you can press A. Okay, and if you want to add a cell below, then you press B. Okay, so A is above and B is below. Okay, but before that you have to go to the command mode just by pressing this escape button. Okay, so I have put one cell here. I just want to see the data type of this df, right? So let's say type of this df. Okay, just execute it pressing shift and enter, and you can see pandas.core.frame.data frame, right? So this whole thing is actually a data frame. Now we want to see the series, right? Can we take the series from the data frame? Yes, we can. So let's actually add a new cell here just by going to the command mode and pressing B. Okay, so we'll actually take out the series from this data frame. Let's say df of state. Okay, so if you want to take out this state series, you can simply say state, right? So hit shift enter and you can see this is actually a series. How to see whether it is a series? You can say B, just add one cell, and you can say type of this thing, right? df of state. Okay, now hit enter and you can see pandas.core.series.series. This is a series. So these series and data frames are the main data structure in pandas. All right, so this is about series and data frames in pandas. We mostly use data frames because we always have the big data. Okay, so but anyway, these two things you have to always remember: data frame and series. All right, now we know how to read the CSV and what is a data frame and what is series, right? Let's do some data manipulations. So first of all, let's try to create the new data frame using a dictionary, right? Using a Python dictionary. All right, so let's put a markdown here. I'll say create a data frame from a dictionary. Okay, so okay, just just go to the command mode and press M, then it will become the markdown. You can also select this from here. Okay, just set it to markdown and it will become this kind of markdown. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll say I just want to create a data frame using the dictionary, right? So I'll say temp dict is equal to open and close curly braces. I'm sorry. And here I'm going to say name. I'll quickly create this dictionary. All right, I have the dictionary now. So I will execute it. All right, so you should not get any error when you execute it using your shift and enter. So after that, I'll say dict df is equal to pd dot data frame. pd dot data frame. You can always write pd dot and then press tab, then you will get the suggestions. Okay, pd dot data frame dot from underscore dict. From dict, which dictionary we want to put this? Temp dict, right? Okay, so now just hit enter and then visualize this dict df. Okay, so now you can see this is our newly created data frame. All right, so now we know that how to create the data frame from a dictionary and how to read the dictionary and all that, right? So let's see what are the columns in a data frame, right? So we will actually go back to this df, right? df dot head. You can always write df dot head to see and verify what are the data in your data frame. Okay, so we have this data frame and I just want to see all the columns, right? All the columns of this data frame. So I will simply write df dot columns and hit enter and you can see all of the columns are printed. Okay, and one more thing, you can also see the data types of your columns. Okay, so how to see that? df dot d types. df dot d types. Okay, so when you hit enter, you will see state as an object. Okay, and when you see this object, it is more likely a string. Okay, so pandas thinks that it can be the Python object. Okay, so more likely it will be string. All right, so that's why it is printing object. And other things, we have int64, float, and everything, right? So this is how you see the data types of the columns. Okay, and from this data frame you can also print the single column values. Okay, so for example, I want to see the states, only the states, right? So what I'll do is I will simply say df dot state, right? So it is printing all the states, right? What if I want to print international plan, right? Let's try that. df dot international plan. Now, I'm sorry, it is plan, right? So you will get the error here. That's because you see this label has the space, right? So this is actually the syntax error. So that's why we can use df of this international plan, right? So let me copy this. Okay, now you can see it is printing everything, right? So when you don't have any space in the column label, you can print df.state. But if you have the space in the label, you have to do like this. Now, what if I want to print multiple columns, right? So I will say df of, inside this df, we need to pass the array of columns. Okay, array of columns. We have multiple columns, right? We need to pass multiple columns in a array. Okay, so I will say df of, and inside this df, I will put an array. Okay, so it can be state, if you want state, comma, another one is international plan, and another one can be a different, right? Total day calls. Put this inside a single quotation or double quotation, and now when you hit enter, you will see state, international plan, and total day calls. So that's how you access multiple columns at once. Okay, so I'll just see df.head and all that. So now next thing is, let's try to get the unique values of a column, right? So in this whole data frame, there can be unique values, right? So let's actually say df dot state dot unique. Okay, so just want to see only the unique states, right? So I'll hit enter, and you can see I have got the array of states. These are all the unique states. Okay, so because the states are repeated in this 3000 records, right? So the if you want to see the unique states, you can see it like this: df.state.unique. All right, so we can also fetch the rows with the filter or conditions, right? So how to do that? For example, I want to fetch all the rows with no international plan, right? So if you look at this data, international plan, it is yes and no, right? It is yes and no. All right, so now conditionally I want to fetch the data, right? So I want to fetch all the rows with no international plan. So how to do that? So this is how we filter the rows. So let's say df of this, we want to actually copy this. So we want to actually copy this and put it inside this df. Okay, so df of international plan is equal to no, right? Let's hit enter. So now you can see we have all the data with no international plan, right? So it is a 3010 records, and but if you put it to yes, I will hit enter, and you can see 323 rows. All right, so that's how you filter the records based on the conditions. If you want to add more conditions, you can do that. So for example, if you want to fetch all the rows with no international plan and churn equal to true, right? So then we can put this condition like this. What you'll have to do is you'll have to actually copy this. So here what you have to do is you have to say df, and inside the df just put this condition inside the quotation. Okay, so like this, just copy this and put this inside a parenthesis. Okay, so this is one condition. and put one ampersand and again put another condition like this. Df of, we want to say churn, right? Churn. Okay, so I cannot just say churn like that. It should be inside the quotation. Churn is equal to true. You can see here it is true and false, right? So now let's hit enter, and now you can see international plan equal to yes. Okay, I can say no here. Okay, it's just the condition, yes or no, right? So international plan no, and churn equal to false, right? So what if you want to set it to false? Here you can see international plan no, and churn equal to false, right? Similarly, you can adjust this to say yes and no like that. Okay, so this is how you filter the data with multiple conditions. Okay, next we will see what is ilock and lock functions. Okay, so this is very important. So ilock means it's a position based indexing. Okay, so it is used to select the data by integer based indexing. Okay, so you can also do slicing with the ilock. So we will see what is ilock and how it works. All right, so in pandas we have ilock and lock functions. So if you want to access the data by its position, okay, so for example, you see the index here, right? So index always starts from 0. So you should remember that. I'll just say see the data, or not dot c, it is dot head, df dot head. Maybe I'll see 20 records. And you see, for example, I want to access the 15th record of this data frame. So I can use ilock. Okay, so using the index position, I can take out the row. Okay, so let's try to use ilock, df dot ilock. Okay, df dot ilock. The index you have to pass. Okay, so we want to fetch the 15th record, right? The index will be 14. That's because the index starts from 0, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 15 comes here. The index is 15. All right, now I'll hit enter, and you can see we have 15th records. Okay, you can verify it here, right? IA 62415 and this thing. All right, so that's how you fetch the specific record with the indexing. Let's say you want to fetch the account length, this one, right? So what you will do is you'll just have to say df.ilock, df.ilock. You just put the row is your 14th row you want to put, and then the index of the column, right? So which index you want to put this account length, right? This is first one index, right? This is 0, 1, 2, 3 like this. So I want to just fetch this 62. So I will say 1. So here I will just say, I'll put the comment row comma column. Okay, row comma column. I'll hit enter, and you see this 62, right? So that's how you pinpoint the particular data in our data frame and take that out. Okay, so similarly, you can also access the last column. Okay, so last column is nothing but -1. Okay, so for example, I want to fetch this one, this false, right? So what I'll do is I'll say df.ilock, and I would say 14 comma -1. Okay, so 14 means the 15th record, and -1 means last column. Okay, this false. So I'll hit enter, and you'll see the value here. So that's how you can use ilock. All right, so using ilock we can also do slicing. Okay, so how to do slicing? We can see, I'll just say slicing. So let's say you want to take a portion of the data. Okay, so for example, maybe you want to take only the data from 10 to 20, right? Or 100 to 200, right? So in that case, you can do slicing. Let's say df.ilock again. So you have to put the index, right? So for example, you want to take 10 to 20, right? So I'll say 9 colon 9:20. So you will probably get like 11 rows, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11, right? So start from 9, right, which is a 10th record, right? So this is how you slice the data. Okay, so and before I conclude this video, I just want to show you what is a lock function. Okay, so with ilock we can do position based indexing, which is which is the integer based indexing. But lock method is a little bit different than ilock methods. Okay, so lock uses keywords instead of integers. Okay, so for example, in ilock we fetch the data using its integer value or the index, right? But lock uses index as keywords. Okay, so in this data frame we have the index as integers, right? So in order to see the lock in action, we need to actually set the index as maybe state or something, which is not the numerical value. Okay, so ilock uses the keywords or string. Okay, so that's why what I'll do is I'll just say state is equal to df dot copy. Copy method will actually copy your whole data frame. All right, and I'll say state dot, we have another function, set index. Okay, set index. So we are actually setting the index to this data frame. So it is state, the column name is state, right? So we also want another another parameter, in place is equal to true. So in place means it is actually setting the index as a state for this particular state data frame. All right, so I will run this and I'll say state dot head. Okay, now you can see instead of this numerical index we have the state as index, right? Now we can use lock function on this state. Now for example, if you want to fetch the rows with the state nj, right? So what you'll do is you'll actually say state dot lock, right? State dot lock, and you will say nj, right? Now if you hit enter, you can see it is showing all the data that has the state nj. Okay, so that's how you use lock function. Okay, now you have seen the set index function, right? It is setting the state as the index. Now if you want to reset the index, what you will do, you will simply say state dot reset index. Okay, state dot reset index. The index will be reset back to the numerical values 0 to the number of rows. All right, going forward, let's see how we can update the rows. So usually what happens is in your data set, you will always have some null values, right? So that's why you have to handle those null values. So if you take this data frame example, let's see how many null values are there in this df. Okay, so how to see that? So I will just print this df, and in here I just want to see the null values of this particular data frame. All right, so I will say df dot is null, df dot is null, and then sum. Okay, just run a sum function and hit enter. All right, so in the state column we don't have any null values. So in similarly we don't have null values in account length area code, but in total day minutes we have 10 null values, right? So similarly total day calls 10, right? So all these things are null values. We want to actually, maybe we usually delete these null values. Okay, so what you do is to delete these null values, we usually use a drop na function. Okay, so you'll say df dot drop na. Okay, drop na means drop null values. So let's say in place is equal to true. All right, now if you run this, And again, if you run this same function, and you can see we have 0 null values, right? Because we have deleted these rows with the null values. If you check this df like this, now we have 3307 because some of them have been deleted. Earlier it had 3333, right? We deleted some records. So that's how you update the data frame. And next, we can also delete this whole series or whole column, right? So if you want to see that, you can simply say df.drop function. Okay, so inside this drop function, you'll have to put which column you want to delete, right? So for example, I will say total night minutes. Okay, I will say total night minutes. I'll copy this and I'll put this inside here, total night minutes, and comma, we also want to pass the axis, right? So this drop function will take the axis. Axis is equal to 1. Usually axis 0 is row and axis 1 is column. Because we want to delete the column, axis is equal to 1, we need to pass. Okay, so if you want to write here, you can say axis 0 is a row and axis 1 is column. Okay, so now you can hit enter, and now see we don't have any column called total night minutes, right? It has total night minutes. This one does not have total night minutes, it is deleted. Okay, so we can also calculate the sum of these two columns and put them inside the new column, right? We can also do that. We'll do that. Let's say we want a new column. Maybe we will say new column. This new column will be the sum of total day charge and total evening charge. Okay, so this one plus this one will become the new column. Let's see how does this work. Df of total day charge plus df of total night charge. All right, so when you hit enter, one new column has been added. Right now you see the churn is the last column, right? So if you see the df again, and you'll see the new column has been added. So this 56 is the sum of total, what is that? Total day charge, right? Total day charge plus total night charge. Where is total day charge? 45 plus 07 plus total night charge, which is 11.01, which is equal to 56.8, right? Okay, so that's how this new column has been updated. Now sometimes what happens is you may want to update this particular value, right? 56.06. You don't want this value, you want some custom value. So what you can do in this case is you can use ilock. Okay, so you can just say df.ilock. Okay, we want to update the first row, which is the row with the 0th index, right? 0th index, comma, we want to update the last column, right? Last column is nothing but -1, right? So that's equal to, you don't want 56, maybe you want 60. Then you execute this and say df.head, and this time you see it has been changed or updated to 60. Okay, so that's how you update a single value. Okay, so next, maybe we have created this new data frame, right? By adding this new column, this has become a new data frame now. So you can actually take the output of this data frame. Maybe you can export this to CSV, right? Simply say df dot just like how we have read CSV, right? So similarly, we have 2_CSV, 2 CSV. So 2 CSV will be equal to like output. So this name can be anything, okay? So this is actually the file name, CSV. Hit enter. And now if you look at the folder, so here you can see output.csv has been stored right in this folder. Okay, so now if you want to output to JSON, what you will do is just say df dot to JSON. Okay, to JSON. JSON is a function, and hit enter, and you can see this whole data frame has been converted to the JSON file, JSON data. All right. Similarly, you can also output to HTML. You can also output to HTML. So instead of df dot to JSON, you will say df dot to HTML, Hit enter. Okay, so now you can see this has become the table now. This is the HTML elements with the table TD and all of that. Okay, so finally we can also delete the data frame. If you don't want the data frame, you can simply delete the data frame like this. del is a keyword and name of the data frame, that is del space df. Okay, no error means data frame has been deleted. If you want to see that data frame again, you will get the error, right? Name df is not defined because this has been deleted. All right, that's all for this video. I hope this helped you get started with Pandas. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more such videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.